All right, showtime. You ready?
Born ready.
Great. Did you bring the dongle?
What's a dongle?
Never mind. We'll just show them on your laptop.
I was supposed to bring my laptop?
Don't panic. You shared the presentation with me, right?
I forgot.
Well, if you log in, then we can...
My password. I was about to say I forgot my password.
You ordered the food through EasyCater, right?
Yes?
We'll be fine.
Food can make or break a presentation, so make sure you order at EasyCater.com. Individually packaged food delivered right on time. How? EasyCater.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
And away we go. Welcome to show number 2906. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, D. Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock. Montgomery! Are in the men's room. On tap today, here come the bad jokes, bitches. The return of Ted versus the FCC. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, a men's room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite TV time with Ted. Click-clack, drink-a-drunk. All right, here we go to L.A., where a proud 28-year-old becomes the first ever busted for a scooter DUI. Oh, congrats. Man tricks other men into sex, pretending to be a woman. Then they find out they had sex with a guy. Budget airline in Indonesia gives woman seat on a plane in the loo. A man who accidentally puts car in reverse in drive-thru won't be enjoying that delicious Mountain Dew. And a tourist in Zimbabwe gets a real close-up picture of an elephant. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, I don't think that anyone would argue that Bill Cosby is a sexually violent predator, except, of course, for Bill Cosby. However, the Pennsylvania Sexual Offenders Assessment Board, that's a thing, they have in fact labeled Bill a sexually violent predator. And Bill says that label will, quote, ruin his reputation. Apparently, he's unaware of other things that have ruined his reputation, but that's what he says. Now, similarly, in Colorado, a man by the name of Chris Watts, he murdered his entire family. That would be his wife and his 2 child daughters. He's been labeled a monster, and he has the goal to complain about it. He says he doesn't like the label monster. Nevertheless, it happened. You know why? Because nicknames happen, and sometimes they are earned. Monsters and sexually violent predators. Other times, they're not earned. Sometimes they're flattering. Sometimes they're not. It's a nickname. I mean, if Robin knew what we called her behind her back, she'd be pissed. So pissed. But nicknames happen to everyone. Hell, we have a list of nicknames that A-list celebrities endured before becoming A-list celebrities. So, like, the image you have of these celebrities, you go back to childhood, they talk about some of their friends and parents, and let's just say they're not all so flattering. Just say, for example, you play the role of Superman, but growing up, your nickname was Fat. That's just one of them. We'll share that list and a few more with you coming up. And here's the thing, nicknames, whether it's yours or someone else's, typically, there's a story behind it. So today, this is what we want to know. Whether it was you or someone else, how is the nickname earned? Be a part of the big show. Call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send your emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All the fellas, and away we go. Welcome to show number 2906. And what a large and in charge program we have for you today. As the bad jokes get ready to go, we'll kick off the bad jokes
Right before we drink and toast with the shot of the day, the return of Ted versus the FCC is coming up. Another round of Profile This, and today we're going to talk about nicknames. Now, one thing that we know to be true, and this has been established quite some time ago, probably one of the first men's room rules I think we ever put on the books was that no man can give himself a nickname. And the reason is, it's just because, like, look, that's not up to you. That is something that you earn. That is something that is bestowed you based on your actions, based on the person you are, based on your likes, your dislikes,
your appearance.
Something that happened back in the day. We start with this guy, and Wobbin, unfortunately, we got to talk to you about this one because this hits close to home. This was a terrible story, and this story happened.
And you're a terrible person, so it hits close to home.
About a month ago. And it was the story of the Colorado dad who was accused of killing his family. Apparently, it was also found out that he had a girlfriend at the time.
That he worked with.
And he was put in jail. His side of the story is...
Oh, this guy. I forgot. Yeah.
His wife, he said he was strangling their two kids, so he killed her. Well, basically, he more than likely, he killed all three. He killed his two young children. He also killed his wife. It's a horrible story.
Yep.
The Colorado man, they say, whom authorities is accused of killing not only that, but his wife was pregnant.
Right.
And two kids, is upset now by widespread coverage that he did not know existed because he went directly to jail.
Exactly.
He's only
Much
been
like
getting,
Monopoly.
He's only been getting an hour every day to be able to read anything. He's very frustrated. He did not know that everyone knows about the case. And this is ruining, like his image.
Right.
And
his image where? He's in jail.
He thought it was just local news that covered it, and then he found out it was national news, and now he's very upset.
Oh, he doesn't especially because people think that, quote, he is a monster.
Sure.
So he's been given a monster nickname.
To
because
be fair,
when
you kill your whole family, there's a good chance, and look, maybe we're not creative anymore, but a lot of times we call those people a monster.
Mm-hmm. He's being held in the Weld County Jail. His name is Chris Watts, and he is 33 years old. How old are you?
I am 33, and Chris Watts was in the classroom with me in my English class. I didn't even register this until I spoke with a teacher from high school. He was in the class the day that 9/11 happened.
Is this the same guy?
That is.
You were in class.
Does he look?
Yes.
Does he look the
creepy.
same?
Seeing him in an orange jumpsuit is a different look for him.
Was he popular?
He was popular, especially with girls, because he's so good looking.
Is he good looking? Well, he was good looking back. Is that how he was known?
By those standards, yeah. I guess by your basic standards in high school, he was kind of one of those it guys who could have had really any girl he wanted.
I'll say this, despite the fact that he's a douche, he's
a monster.
He's going gray early.
He's a little salt and pepper.
Yeah, he is. And women like that. He's pretty
and you actually knew this guy.
Oh, sure. We had multiple classes together. He was into some sports. He was popular but kind of quiet, so he wasn't the outward, loud, popular jock guy, but for sure, he was very popular. You would have, and I hate to say it, but you would have never pegged him to be the guy who would, eventually put his kids and wife in oil barrels.
That's what I was going to ask, because a lot of times when something like this happens, when people know this person, it seems like either everyone says, I'm not that shocked by it, or everyone's terribly shocked.
Right.
But in this case, you're saying you're shocked.
For sure.
And didn't he date one of your friends or something? Or you had a friend who wanted to date him?
A friend of mine really had a huge crush on him in high school. She was the first person I sent the article to when it all came out on the news, what happened and what he had done.
Okay. I can't remember the show we did, but it's been a while since when we initially moved to Seattle. And whatever it was, somehow it got around to the Green River Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so we started taking calls, and the phones light up. And there's a bunch of people who knew him personally.
Oh, worked with him,
all that stuff. And it was a call after call after call. Everyone said the same thing. We knew it. We knew it was him the whole time.
Right.
Of course he would. Gary's the only guy who would do something like that.
So they would joke about it openly in the lunchroom.
Yeah, that's what Gary does. And we were like, oh my God, what is going on here? And it was call after call after call. So Watts was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife Shannon and their daughters Bella and Celeste. He's been in jail for more than a month. They say he spends 23 hours a day in a cell under suicide watch with no TV or reading material. Once a day, he's allowed into a common room where he has access to a communal newspaper.
Oh, that's where Common performed for you.
It was only recently that he's learned his case has been covered nationally. according to a source. He's not happy about that, how he's being portrayed. He feels like no one understands him and no one knows what happened. He thinks if they did understand, they'd realize that he's not the monster that everyone says he is.
Well, we just call you murderer?
Like this happened to him? What a classic narcissist case. It's fun.
He'll be due back in court in November. Okay, we'll move on. We'll do one more serious one here, and then we'll get into the fun of the nicknames. In a court filing, convicted sexual assaulter Bill Cosby said being designated a sexually violent predator would violate his state constitutional rights because it would damage his stellar reputation.
But also, you were a sexually violent predator.
That is correct.
That's part of how this goes down.
He just does not want the label. By the way, he has been given a nickname already. According to one source, he is being called the OG, as in the original gangster, in jail already. I guess based on his age or whatever the deal is. One more real quick one here before we get to your calls.
He says that's going to ruin his reputation.
Well,
like Bill,
being called a sexually violent predator.
Even if you dropped that, based on the evidence that we have now, and the fact that everyone's aware of this, even if they didn't say that, no one would say, hey, Bill Cosby, and you go, my man, what a great guy. Yeah, it's the term that ruined your reputation.
And this is a funeral you would definitely want to go to. The guy's name is Maurizio Zanfanti. Maurizio Zanfanti has died at the age of 63. He had been nicknamed his entire life the Romeo of Rimini because he slept with so many women. Does anyone want to take a stab at how he died?
Having sex?
He died while having sex with a 23-year-old tourist.
Oh, jeez.
The Romeo of Rimini is Italy's most famous playboy. He was 63 when he died. He is said to have slept with more than 6,000 women, previously boasting that in a successful summer, he could sleep with around 200. His highest tally that he counted, he said, was 207. He started out as a nightclub promoter in Rimini, a beachside party town in Italy in the 70s when he was 17 years old. He worked for the nightclub called Blow Up. He would chat to women on the street and try to get them in to come into the venue to party. In 2016, in an interview, he says, I think I've done more tourism promotion for Rimini than 100 agencies. During the winter months, he worked for tourist agencies in Scandinavia, and he was well known, so well known that a wax statue of him was put up in a Swedish town.
In a Swedish town?
Yes, however, on Tuesday night, he had a fatal heart attack while having sex with a woman from Eastern Europe on his estate. She called emergency services, but paramedics were unable to revive him. He was declared dead. Italian media has said it was the way that he would have wanted to go. Now, this guy looks
the way any of us want to go. I mean, like, come on,
I mean, he looks like he was like... He's
70s Fabio.
He's Fabio. He's Kip Winger. He is basically who your girlfriend would have gone backstage and slept with if you were alive in the 80s and she liked metal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who this guy is.
He could have been the keyboard player with that look. He'd have gotten it.
I mean, he's got a big chain, a gold chain like Ted just got. This guy is styling. So our question, whether it was you or someone else, how was the nickname earned? 844-999-OLA.
A couple of quick comments. Of course, one comment comes in that says, Gary, a.k.a. the Green River Killer, was my next-door neighbor, with an exclamation point.
See, like people are real happy to be associated with him.
And then as far as Bill Cosby goes, someone suggests that Bill Cosby can now be Pill Cosby. Hello, Matt. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey.
Hola.
Hola. So in high school, I got the nickname Skippy.
Skippy?
Skippy, yeah.
You like peanut butter? Did you skip a lot? Why?
Because I went boating with these guys. I just met them, and they were like, hey, we're going to go to the lake and go boating. And when we all got in the boat, I was in the skipper's position, and so they started calling me Skipper during that trip, but then they just shortened it to Skippy.
What is the skipper? What is the skipper's position on a boat?
When you're behind Gilligan,
did you just go up and like get right behind the wheel like I'm driving?
No, it wasn't that big of a boat. It was just, I was sitting up front telling everybody where, hey, let's go over to this way. Let's go over that way.
Ah, okay, I see.
The little outboard motor that you just turn by hand.
Have you been Skippy ever since?
Yeah, all through high school. That was like my sophomore year of high school, and then all through high school, my nickname was Skippy.
Okay, all right. And do just those group of people call you Skippy, or is it carried on to everybody?
No, just those group of buddies. Okay. That's the only people that call me that.
It's interesting, just within my name, right? Just within your own name, who calls you what based on who they are.
Sure.
So, I've got one cousin that calls me Mileage.
Mileage, okay.
I've got a few friends that call me Monty. I've got a few people that call me Montgomery. I've got a few people that call me Milo. You know, it just depends on who it is and how they're addressing.
For me, I have like 3 main names. If I hear Steven, it's a family member. For whatever reason, brother, parents, it doesn't matter. Cousins, for whatever, that's how it is. Most friends, it's just Steve. At work, obviously, it's Thrill, but it's crazy because, Miles, you call me Steve. Ted calls me Thrill, and he never says Steve. In fact, if Ted said Steve, I wouldn't think he's talking to me. Like, honest to God, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because that's not what he might as well say the name Bob. It would have the same register. But with him, and then Castle goes back and forth. But then I realize Ryan Castle, our drunk in charge, I never call him Ryan. In fact, if you say Ryan, I think of like 3 other people that work here. Yeah. He's Castle. It's just Castle. That's it.
The world's biggest castle. What a castle.
I think his wife calls him Castle sometimes.
You're such a castle. Mm-hmm. Whether it was you or someone else, that was a nickname earned. 844-999-OLA.
Hello, David. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I was born and raised in the military. My entire family is from either Connecticut or New York. I was born in the great state of Texas. To differentiate, my grandparents would call down to Texas and say, "How's David?" And my father, being the little smarty that he is, gave me the nickname Redneck. So he would say,
"Wait, he nicknamed his Redneck." He nicknamed his own son Redneck.
Yes, he did.
And is this a name that sticks?
It stuck for quite a while. I've outgrown it. I've gotten away from the circle of friends that I had for many years. When I moved out to Washington, there's a few select people that still call me Redneck. I've got a godson that calls me Redneck. But other than that, it's pretty much dead now.
Tell me you're like a surgeon or something.
Do you even notice, though, once you get used to a nickname, especially if this is the group of people that call you that. I mean, if it were Butt Nugget, at some point you don't even notice they call you Butt Nugget. So when they call you Redneck, if it's the person who's always called you that, I mean, do you even, register that they're calling you Redneck?
No, not really. I mean, the only time I had a problem with the nickname was right after I graduated basic training. I went out and got a tattoo that said that. And
you got a tattoo that says Redneck?
Yes.
Where is it?
It's up on my left shoulder.
Okay.
And whenever I was in the shower rooms, the colored people really did not like the fact that
you called them colored?
Yeah. I got redneck on one shoulder and colored on the other. The way it evens it out.
Just say people of color. That's how we do it now. The colored people.
They would let me off the hook after I explained where the nickname came from. It wasn't a lifestyle; it was just a nickname.
Yeah. Well, how many different terms have you gone through in your lifetime?
But as far as nicknames?
Yeah, no, as far as just, the African-American black.
Oh, God. So I want to say on my birth certificate, I want to get this right. So
as far as your ethnicity.
My birth certificate says colored, all right? My brother's 5 years older than me. This is how the story goes. So his birth certificate said Negro, all right? And this is 1964, so the civil rights thing's going on. So my mother, she contacts whoever you contact in these cases and says, "Hey, man, we don't want Negro on the birth certificate, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "Our apologies. We understand." So they send her a new one, and it said colored. She's like, "God damn it." So, right, honest to God, right? So I got colored. When I was old enough to know anything, I was just black. And forever, you were just black. And in the 70s, they might say Afro-American. That was a sense of pride, but you were still just black. And it was in the, late 1980s or early 1990s. It's true. I'm applying for a job at a restaurant. And I walk in, they have the job application. And at that time, when they asked for ethnicity, basically it was white, black, other. That was period. That's all they had. Then they started adding Hispanic, Native, all these things. But I look at this job application and it says black or white, African American, or other. Right? So I don't check anything. I did not know African American become a thing. So I put on my application, and it's a white woman going through my job application, and she's like, "Oh, honey, you didn't check anything." So she checks it. I'm like, "What?"
Because if you did, we wouldn't be having this interview.
I said, "What did you just check?" And she says, "I checked African American." I'm like, "The hell is that?" And she's like, Oh, listen, they just kind of changed in all the forms. You're African American now. You're not black.
Congratulations.
Like, you would think someone would tell me, right? So
I did not get that email. Is that in my junk folder?
Like, how do I not know this? So for about the next 15 years, there was always that, but I never say that. I always just say, man, I'm black. And part of it is, I met two dudes, other than like cab drivers and a very few select people, the two dudes that I have met from Africa are both white guys. They're both white dudes, right?
Mm-hmm. The lead singer from Seether.
So it's kind of like the guy from Seether and a buddy of mine who recently moved to Phoenix, but he grows spectacular weed. But this dude, he's from South Africa, but it's a white dude.
That's a shame.
And I'm like,
he moved?
Well, you're African American, man. I mean, like, you're actually from Africa, right? Because it doesn't say European American, it says white. It's understood. We get it. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, man, so what I've noticed, though, like, politicians don't count because they never know exactly what to say because there's always that weird pause. And, you know, people of color, like, all right, that's a good one. Because they never say what they want to say. So there's people of color, but I feel like when they say that, that's not necessarily black people, it's brown people, anyone who's not white, right? Then you get African American, which I hate. I don't know why. I'm like, man, just say black. Mm-hmm. Just say goddamn black.
Yep.
It was always black. Everyone was cool with black. You switch it up to African American. Like, I've never been to Africa.
Yep.
Hell, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Nothing wrong with black. Jesus Christ.
He's a knight, a Beatle, and a two-time inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yet to his family, Paul McCartney is known simply as Granddude.
Granddude?
I've got 8 grandchildren, and they're all beautiful, and one day one of them said to me, hey, Granddude, according to McCartney. So from then on, I was known as Granddude. That's such a I called my grandfather Gin Daddy because that's what he wanted to be called, and that's what he drank. He drank gin all the time, and he wanted to be known as the Gin Daddy. He thought it was funny around friends, so I didn't know any different.
You don't know.
As a little kid, I was like, "That's my Gin Daddy and my grandma."
Yeah,
people were like, I just remember people just shaking their heads. He was always smiling, you know. But he was like, it was just the time that. That's
Think how I felt when I found out. Why are we calling Grandpa Schlong? But call me Schlong. Make all my friends real proud.
The Schlong arm of the law.
Right, man. If you could pull that move, like, man, if I have grandkids, we're like, oh, what to call me?
Oh, my goodness.
Monster Peen. Because they honestly don't know. That's why you call him Gin Daddy.
And they love you.
But Paul McCartney, it's such a cop. I have a ton of grandkids. They're all beautiful. Do you ever expect someone to say, I have a bunch of grandkids? Like, most of them are beautiful. Well, you're never going to say, well, I got 2 ugly ones, but the other 12. Like, come on, man.
Whether it was you or someone else, how was the nickname earned? 844-999-OLA.
Oh, man, we're like 10 seconds away.
I'm sorry. We're going to take a break. We're going to go to commercial break. Let's go to commercial break for a minute.
Can you hear that? Wait, turn this down for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Who is the band playing?
There's a band.
Who is the band playing right now?
I don't know. There's somebody performing out there.
No, but who are they?
Interrupter.
Oh, it's
Interrupter. That's the goddamn name of the band.
Interrupter. Okay, you were Interrupter.
Interrupter. I'm trying to me, this is the great thing for the band, right? When you say, ladies and gentlemen, please, you should get that far, and they start playing.
Like, what are you talking about, Interrupter?
Yeah, they're called Interrupter.
The band.
Or the Interrupter.
Gotcha. Sorry. Whether it was you or someone else, that was a nickname earned. 844-999-OLA. Hold the line where your call's coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitch, hola. You have entered the men's room.
We go to Anchorage, Alaska. A section of a small town in western Alaska has long been known as Louse Town.
Louse Town?
Which some residents find insulting to the Alaska natives who live there. But it's not just an unpleasant nickname with connotations of parasitic lice. I guess it's apparently in the municipal code somehow. Now an effort is underway to officially change the code and rename the area East Avenue.
So they call it Louse Town. What, is lice prevalent, or was there like this big plague of lice back
at one point in time? There was an incredible plague of lice, and it just stuck. Louse Town, referencing that area of the community. And now they're wanting to change it back to just old East Avenue.
Yeah, I can see why you might want to do that, man. I'd have called it like Cootie City or something.
Whether it was you or someone else, how was the nickname earned? 844-999-OLA. That was not hard to figure out.
And, well, I don't know. All right, well, listen, I'm going to put that to the test, all right? We're going to go to this next call. Hello, Alex. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, gentlemen.
Hola. Now, Alex, hang on a second. I'll tell you what. Alex, you just don't tell us the nickname. You just tell us the story that led up to it and see if we can guess what your nickname will be.
Oh, man, it's going to be way too easy for you guys.
Okay, all right, let it rip. Let's see what happens.
First off, I have to say I had to call in now because I have way too many friends that listen to this show, and I bet you're dying to tell this story.
You wanted to
beat him to the punch. Okay.
Way to take
I wanted
control.
to tell the truth behind it all.
All right.
So it started all out when I was about 4 years old. I was at a racetrack and in Monroe watching the races go on, and I guess I ended up, just being a 4-year-old, so I ended up crapping my pants. And when that happened...
What do you mean just being a 4-year-old?
I was a 4-year-old. I don't recall randomly crapping myself.
At 2 years old, yeah. At 3, maybe. At 4, if you did not give me any warning that your stomach feels weird, that's a surprise.
Maybe I was just a slow baby. I don't know. But
that's the nickname, Slow Baby.
Slow ride.
No. So that part of the story gets changed up to where it's 13, 14, 15 years old. So that's the biggest part. I was 4 years old, and I ended up crapping my pants, and it ended up traveling down my shorts, landed down into my boot, and there was a little chunk of turd down in my boot.
S-kicker?
No.
Charlie Brown?
Pretty easy.
How now, Brown Trow?
Mr. Brown
they called me Poop Boot.
Poop boot. Poop boot. Oh, it's obvious when you say it.
Okay. And how long did that stick? No pun intended.
It's actually still going on. Here and there, I hear it every once in a while. People always want to know what the whole story is.
But wait, now let me. This happened when you were 4 years old. Most things that happened in my life when I was 4 happened with family, right? So, how do all of your friends to this day know the poop boot thing?
Well, by golly, I'm hoping that he's listening right now. I haven't talked to him for a couple of years, but my neighbor Sam was the one that came up with that name when it happened. And
I'll tell you how it stuck.
You know what? Because Sam told everyone. That's all. But there's no way you told that story.
Whether it was you or someone else, how was the nickname earned? 844-999-OLA. More of your calls coming up here in seconds.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.
Oh, thanks, everyone. I have 2 announcements. First, we didn't use Easy Cater for this meeting, which is why the food never arrived. Also, and I just thought of this, effective immediately, everyone will be paid in wildly volatile cryptocurrency. You're all now billionaires. And now you're broke.
Bad ideas happen when there's no food for the meeting. So make sure it's on time and as ordered from more than 80,000 restaurants. Now, Easy Cater.
You're rich again. And now you're not.
Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.